to and you talk to. I've seen a lot of your videos where you're talking to these, talking to youth. And so when you help them, youth, and you're speaking, you're giving them, direction. Can you, give us two aspects, if you will, that has had the most profound impact currently to your professional, in your professional career, whether it's, one of them was the boy who comes up sobbing to you, telling you about that. How does that impact you? How does that keep you as a professional? How does it help you kind of just be grateful for what you have and keep focusing on what you could potentially bring into others' lives?
I think it's the fuel. It definitely fuels. Humans we all have a depletable willpower. Willpower is a resource that after, so much resistance, you get worn down. People get run down, you get sick. That's why you get sick. Entrepreneurs get sick all the time. We overwork ourselves, we lack of sleep. So willpower is a depletable resource in my eyes. And I think you need something more that comes from the gut, that comes from emotion, that drives you beyond. That's why purpose is so important. And you really need to be able to hook into that. And human beings have so much strength when under the sort of right circumstances, or the right reasons. Like a parent would die for the child, do anything. But then you see all these parents that just quit on their own goals. Parents won't even go out and work hard for their own future, but they'll sit there and they'll die for the kids. And I'm sure they would, but it's just like, we would actually do more for others than we'll do for ourselves. It's human nature, right? It's built into us, especially parent to children. And sometimes we'll do more for a friend than ourselves. And it's easy to fix something else. And so I think finding that resource, and for me, it was something that lit me up. I think it gave me hope. It gave me hope that everything that I got up to this point wasn't just to provide me a comfortable life or a better life for my family. Yeah, I realized that a lot of the pain and suffering and adversity throughout my life had a meaning. It happened for a reason, and it was happened to build me up and make me the person I am, to be able to share my story, because I can connect through those stories. I can relate to pain. I can relate to suffering, and pain and suffering doesn't really, it doesn't really separate itself in any way. Pain is pain, suffering, suffering, trauma is trauma. So someone can be traumatized as a kid because their 20-year married parents separate because dad's cheating on mum, right? And it doesn't mean it's not, the trauma that they can feel could be the same as someone that's come from an abusive family. The story of how the traumas come off can almost be the same. And if you get severe trauma enough, it can cause damage to the circuitry in the brain and the psychology and development of children. That can happen if someone's allowed enough emotional stress, and it's trauma from their parents breaking up and they've come from an affluent family. There's no difference to that feeling. We can still relate on that level. So, it's like when you say you felt love, like love's the same, and you can't explain it, but you can feel it and share it with someone. So, it's helped me sort of understand that whole relatable piece. So
with that, give us two or four points that you try to convey to these kids, that when you're talking to them, you go in and you speak. Obviously they want you to speak on a topic, but what are, 2 or 4 points that you're trying to convey to these kids about, your topic, or just life in general? What you going with this purpose? So bring us into that space, and what are you trying to convey over to these kids?
Good question. There's normally a few things. Trying to get young people to think ahead. Think as you go through such a social change. When you're growing up and you hit puberty, it's about the cool kids and being seen, and trying to do the right thing. And I share a couple of stories of my childhood where I watched some of my mates like go to jail and some pretty other serious stuff like dead and end up on drugs. And, at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you. And one of the trigger points of change in my life also was a few events and letting my family down and realizing that I was raised better and, thinking about those you care about. Mine was my mum and my little sister. And, I had to sort of step up and just try and get people to think differently, not be drawn in. Don't let other people dictate your views. If you want something, do it, go for it. You're better off to try, sort of thing. But yeah, you can't feel sorry for yourself.